So this is a very beginning Illustrator project, and this is for students who are coming into Illustrator after taking Photoshop. So there's certain things that you already know about some Adobe softwares. So I want to show you kind of the differences and how to do our first project, which is going to be to create like a little motivational poster so we can hang them up around the room. All right, so what I've done here is I already went into Pixabay and I picked a picture that I want to do for in my poster, and I've opened it up. So I just went to File, Open. I located my folder or my picture that I wanted, and this is what it looks like in Illustrator. So the first thing I want you to do when you open up Illustrator is go to Window, Workspace. Make sure that you're on the Essentials. In fact, it's probably best if you push Reset Essentials just to make sure that anything that was open on the right hand side that might have been changed is reset. I want us all to be working with the same workspace for this project. So you'll need to use some of the things in Appearance, and then we have layers over here, just like Photoshop. We have layers, only they perform a lot different in Illustrator, and I'll kind of go over some of those differences. Okay, so we'll have it on Properties for now. I have my picture. Now what I'm going to do is just copy this picture and paste it into the document that I'm going to make. So I'm going to get this very top tool here. Okay, so there's two selection tools in Illustrator. You have the selection tool, which gets an entire object, and then you have this one below it, the direct selection tool, and it just selects just like a segment of a shape or path, which I'll explain that better as we go. All right, so here's my picture. I'm going to click on it with the top selection tool, click on this, and I'm going to do copy, Control C, and get it into my clipboard. Now I'm going to make a new document, and this is going to be a print document, and I want it to be letter sized. And I can go over here after I click on letter, and I'm going to go ahead and name this. So this is my motivational poster, and you can either have it on horizontal if you have your picture horizontal or vertical. I'm going to crop mine as a vertical picture. So I'm going to put it on this, and then as far as raster effects for this class, we really only need it to be medium. We don't need anything too high of a resolution. And since it's a print document, you can leave it on CMYK. All right, so then you're going to press Create. And now I have my letter size document, and what I want to do is paste, Control V, and get this picture of this dog that I've copied. Now you can see it's way big for this page, so I'm going to do Control minus and zoom out a little bit. And what I want to do is scale the dog to be, fit in the page better. So you grab this selection tool again. Now the difference in Photoshop, when you do Control T and you go to scale it, you go to drag it, it stays proportional, but you notice in Illustrator you can stretch out the picture, okay, and we don't want that. So I'm going to undo that. What you want to do is hold the Shift key. This is going to be hard to get used to coming from Photoshop, but hold your Shift key and then drag from the corner, and that way your picture will stay proportional. It's very important. I can't stand when I see people have stretched pictures, so make sure you hold the Shift key with your other hand the whole time that you're scaling. All right, and I'm going to put it so it's like, I want it to be over on the edge, about like that. All right, so what I want to do is I want to crop this image, but you can't really crop things in Illustrator. It doesn't work that way. It's not the same as Photoshop. You can't edit images in Illustrator. So what we're going to do is make a clipping mask, which we did that in Photoshop. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to draw a box just inside the size of my page. So somewhere like about like that. All right, so to make a clipping mask, I need to select both of these, the photo and the rectangle. So I'm going to get my selection tool, and all I have to do is just click anywhere on it, and I can hold the Shift key to click to get both things, or I can just drag from the outside and just make sure both were grabbed. And then I'm going to go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. All right, so now you see the dog is cropped inside that rectangle. Now if I wanted to move it, let's say I wanted to move the dog over inside of the window, The only way I can do that is if I go over here now and get this direct selection tool. All right, I'm going to click off so I have everything unselected. Click in there, and now I can slide this around inside of that rectangle that I drew. All right, I'm putting him off to the side because I'm going to put my saying over here. All right, so if you need to move your picture around inside, just make sure you're using the direct selection tool for that. If I tried to get the top tool and move it, you see it's like acting like it's cropped, so they're grouped together. So you have to use the direct selection tool to move just the picture around. All right, so the next thing I want to show you how to do is to write your saying on top of your image. So we're going to go over to layers, and layers in Illustrator are a lot different than Photoshop. In Photoshop, when you copy and paste things, it gives you a separate layer each time you do that. In Illustrator, it does not. You have to ask it to make a new layer. So you can go down here at the bottom right and click that little plus to make a new layer. But I want to show you that in Illustrator, layers actually have sublayers. So if you click open this little triangle here and then you click that one open, now you can see, let me expand this so you can see it better. Now you can see that I have my rectangle layer is here. See when I turn that on and off? And then I have my image is here. So everything is in the same layer, but it's in a sublayer. And it has this thing grouped because when I made it a clipping mask, it made it a group. All right, so anyway, I don't want all my text and everything to get mixed up with that. So I'm going to make a new layer for my text. And I'll name it text. Before you start typing on this, I would recommend locking this layer. So each time you use a layer, when you're done editing it, you might want to press this lock button. That way you're not accidentally selecting things while you're doing the next task. So always get in the habit of locking your layers when you're done using them. All right, let's type our quote that we're going to put on your poster. So I have my new layer called text. I have the text tool over here. Now when I click on the image, it's going to show me whatever size, font, and color that I used before. So we can go over to properties, and you can change all that right here. I want to have actually white text. I know it looks black, but it's just reversed in here. So if I click on that like that, you can see what color you actually have chosen. And let's go ahead and type my saying in here. All right, now to make changes to the text on the color and everything, you can either select it like this, like take your cursor and drag it up, and you can make edits to it if you want to make it bigger. If you want to change the leading, you can do that over here, pressing these arrow keys or typing in a number or opening this and choosing a specific number. And the other cool thing about Illustrator text is I can go over here now with my selection tool and just click and drag from the corner. Now remember, when you hold the shift key, it keeps it proportional. If you don't want it to be proportional, it's okay with the text. You should keep your images proportional, but it doesn't really matter if you keep your text that way. All right, so there's my text. Now I want to show you how to use the brush tool, and I just want you to practice just doodling something on yours. If you don't like the way it looks when you're done, you can delete it, but I at least want you to experiment with some brushes too. So let's go over to our layers. I'm going to lock my text layer so I don't ruin it, and go over here and click this plus for a new layer, and we'll call this brush. And let's go over to properties, and the brush tool that I want you to get, the top one is paintbrush tool, but go down here and get blob brush tool. So click on that tool, and then go over here where it says brush in the properties panel and pick this one here. It's called 5-point oval, and I'm actually just going to zoom in and make like some simple star graphics. If you make a mistake, you can use this eraser right here, and just like Photoshop, if you use the bracket keys, you can see it makes your brush bigger and smaller. So like, let's say I want to delete that little edge that I have here. I can make a small brush, And it looks like it's painting it white, but it is deleting what you erased there. All right, so try drawing some different things on your poster just to get used to how it works in Illustrator. And once you draw one thing, you can also copy and paste it. So if you want to have more of them, you can scale, you can rotate. So it's almost like a separate layer in Photoshop, but everything is, like being on a different layer. So experiment around with the brushes and try to draw a few things. Use the eraser if you make a mistake, and practice using the text tool. Make sure you have everything in layers. Lock them when you're not using them. So before you save this and turn it in, I also want you to write your name at the bottom. So just continue with this blob brush tool and just write your name at the bottom. You can zoom in with Control Plus and just write your name. And if you wrote too big, just go here and get your selection tool and drag a box around all of your letters, and then you can just use the scale or use the selection tool to scale it and make it small and just put it in the bottom right corner. All right, so after you have your typing done and you've tried drawing some little things with the brush tool, then you can type or write your name at the bottom. And before I turn mine in, I'm going to unlock this text layer and just move it down just a bit. When you're ready to save your file, just go up to File and choose Save. I already named mine, so it saved it, but let me just do Save As just in case you don't already save yours. I want you to see that you save it as an Illustrator file. Saving it as an Illustrator file will let you edit it just like you did when you had Photoshop files. It lets you edit it. So always save your main copy as an Illustrator.ai. All right, that way you can open it up and make edits. So I've already saved mine. The next thing you need to do is to make a JPEG, and that's what you're going to put in your portfolio to turn in for a grade, just like when you had Photoshop class. So to get a JPEG in Illustrator, you don't go to Save, you go to File, Export, Export As. Click on this, and for the format, you choose JPEG, and make sure that you check Use Artboards. So click that, and say Export. And then this window will pop up. I would recommend for putting on a website to change it to RGB, okay, because that's going to be a digital version, not a print version. So put it on RGB. The quality can be medium, and I would put the resolution at medium. You don't want to put a really high resolution print file on your website. In fact, you could put the 72 dpi one on your website normally, but I'm going to ask for it as 150 so that I can print these out. So it's kind of a compromise between a web version and a print version. So medium, RGB, and then say OK.